Have you ever wondered how people are making these crazy custom metahumans? Well, we're going to go over how to use Metahuman Creator so that you can also make your free custom metahuman. So I started a new games project just to keep it light and only added starter content, not even third person this time, as I usually like to do. And I've gone to maps and I've opened up the minimal default map just so, again, I have something here to add my metahuman to eventually. But the first thing we need to do is get the bridge open. So if you go up to this little drop down here, you want to go to Quixel Bridge. And coming in here, in general, bridge is great. There's so much stuff you can get. You know, there's assets. If you need a banana, you can come in here, get some fruit, get a banana. And if you need to add it to your project, you just download it, and then add to your project. You'll notice the download button isn't active, and that's actually going to be an issue for us when we get to metahumans as well. So we'll talk about that in a second, but let's skip all this here and go to metahumans. And these are all the metahumans that you could add in your project that come in the bridge by default. So say you want to add this guy, Emmanuel. If you want to add him to your project, you need to, as it says here, sign in. So let's do that first, then we'll get into customizing metahumans, but let's grab one of these basic characters for now. So sign in. You'll get the standard login for your Epic Games sign in. Now, since Quixel is kind of a separate company or function, that's why you need to sign in. And you definitely want to sign in with your Epic Games account because then that makes everything in here free. So go ahead and do that. And it's going to send a security code to your phone. So make sure you get that in. And once you've signed in, now you'll notice if you have your character selected, you have the option to download your character. So I'll do a quick run with the default and then I'll show you how to customize a metahuman. So just do download, and it's going to download your character on your machine first. And you might say, well, where on my machine is this going? So if you want to check where Quixel Bridge is downloading your assets, if you go up to your profile and choose preferences, you'll see here in this path, that is where your content is being downloaded to on your computer. It's not going into your project at this point. It's just going onto your computer. You can change this if you want to. Also, while I'm here, I'm going to turn off share usage data. They don't need to track me. And save. And it's wrapping up the download. It says here 100%, which sounds like it should be done, but it must be finishing a little bit of something. Once it's done, you'll be able to click the add button. There we go. So if you click the add button, now that will add this character into your particular project that we have open. This character is already downloaded onto your machine. So now if you want to add this character to another project, all you'll have to do when you come here is just click the add button. Side note, this add button is the same as this button up here. Even though this says export, that is the same as add. It's not really exporting anything. It's just adding it to the project. So I'm going to click it here. Sometimes one or the other doesn't work for whatever reason. So if this one doesn't work, and it does, but if it didn't, I would also then try it from this little button up here. So this is importing, meaning taking it from my computer and putting it into my project. So let's jump back to the project for a minute, see what that looks like. So going back to my project here, I now have this new folder, Metahumans, and inside there I have Emmanuel. And the character comes in as a blueprint because Metahuman's kind of complex. But if I just drag this into my project now and let it think for a few seconds. And in this case, it's the first time I've added a metahuman to this particular project, which is actually a brand new project. So there are a bunch of plugins that are missing that are needed for when you're working with a metahuman. So what I need to do is enable those and then restart my Unreal session so that the plugins are in this project. And so I'm going to do that real quick and then we'll come back and continue. So I'm just going to click through enable missing, enable missing, enable missing. And then, as it says here, I need to restart. So it's pretty quick, just hit restart. And I guess I did make a change by adding my character to the level. So I'm going to say save and let it restart. And it might take a few minutes. You'll see it's compiling a lot of shaders. I don't know about minutes, but at least many seconds. So I'll skip ahead so you don't have to wait for that. So when my project reopened, it opened to the default level that comes with the blank games template. So I need to reopen my minimal default. As a side note, if you're always going to be opening to the same level, what you could do is jump over to your project settings, go to maps and modes, and then choose the level that you want to have when you reopen. So that's under edit, project settings, maps and modes. And I'm just doing editing. I'm not dealing with games, so I just go to editor startup and then choose. In this case, I want minimal default to be loaded whenever I relaunch my project. And then you can close that. And the next time it'll load here and not to the desert landscape level. So here's my Metahuman. He's still finishing some shaders that are getting prepared for him. You'll notice down here. So the first time you get these loaded, it takes a little bit. So here he is, my default generic Metahuman that comes with standard Quixel. So let's now look at how do you create your own custom Metahuman. So back to Bridge, back to Metahumans, and then pick a character that you want to use as a base. So maybe I want to start with this girl here. And here's the button you're looking for, Start MHC, Metahuman Creator. So click on that button, and it's going to launch a browser. So this is what it launches. And you'll pick the version you're using. I'm using 5.4, so I'm going to leave it set to 5.4 and launch Metahuman Creator. And you'll see there are a couple plugins for more advanced use of Metahumans, but I'm not going to touch on that in this particular tutorial. So let's just go with plain old Metahuman Creator. And you may need to wait a little bit while it kind of does as it says, sets up your session. And when it finally connects, it's going to load to your previous Metahuman. And this is a nice, lovely guy I was working on before. Let's hop over to the Create tab, though. And you'll see it says here, choose a starting point for your new character. So let's find the character. Which one did I have? Not that it matters. But if you find one that's kind of close to what you're looking for, oh, that's right, I was using this character. So this will be your starting point. And then you can go ahead and hit Create Selected. And here's where you can start customizing. So first I'm going to pause the playback just so it doesn't tax my computer if I don't need it to. So I'm just going to hit the pause button there. And the idea is pretty straightforward. You look down the left here and here's the different options that you have. For example, for hair, we got hair and we have color. So you can switch your hair color. So a lot of this is just click around and you'll find what the different options are. But you can modify all the different types of color values. You could just go to the presets here and choose what kind of color you want from the presets. So here's neutrals, if you want it deep or vibrant, it's just tons of presets. There's pretty much anything you want is already created, but if you want to really tweak it and customize it, you can come in here and make some adjustments to your hair setting. And you'll notice you also have that for eyebrows and eyelashes. Not that you would want white eyelashes, but if you did, you could come in here. This is going to look pretty creepy, but just showing you can modify kind of whatever you want. So go to eyebrows and do the same thing. Let's give her some white eyebrows. I'm not necessarily going for a amazing artistic creation here. I'm just going a little nuts to show you some of the values that we can do. Actually, it does look a little disturbing, so I'm going to go back and make it a little less crazy. And I could, I don't think she should have a beard, but I could give her a beard, which looks, again, wrong. So I'm going to get rid of that. But you have all these different facial hair options. And speaking of face, if we come up, let's say we want to change her skin tone a little bit, you could, darken her face. You could adjust the contrast. And you could also adjust the roughness. So if you want to have really smooth, so middle mouse dragging in to get really close. If you want it really smooth, you can adjust the roughness here, or you want it rough so it's not as reflective, you can do that. So that's more of like a, how oily would you want the skin to appear? Do you want the character to have freckles or not? You can change and get rid of freckles or add tons of freckles. And you can also adjust those values so I can increase the density of freckles and the strength. How strong do I want them to be? Again, you can kind of really just go nuts and do anything. You can even get particular on what areas of the face you want to have. If you look under the eyes, you can see I can rosy that up a little bit. Just go extreme. So that's under the eye. I can also go to the cheeks. If I want to rosy up the cheeks, I can do that. Again, a lot of this is just play with it and see what you like. So I'm going to pull back a little bit. And let's look at some of the body controls. If you go to proportion, so you just have different defaults of body types. So you can just click through here until you get one that you find interesting for your character. And this one's kind of funny. You got a head scale, so you can drag that, depending on the scale that you want of your character. So you can even modify that. And then you can change the dress. So you have the options of what kind of top do you want. Do you want a t-shirt? Do you want button down? Do you want to change the color? All right, so I can make a blue shirt with white stitching. So let's take a look at the bottom of the pants. Maybe I want some shorts. And then for shoes, let's see what we got here. Maybe flip-flop. Do we have flip-flops? Yes, we have flip-flops. So now our character's, kind of a mismatch of style, but that's kind of cool. Not really. And let's hit it and play and see what we get as far as how that's going to look standing around. So when it comes to some of your options here, you can even change to see how your character reacts under different styles. So I got happy, I got surprise, I have a full body clip as well, and then I also have a face clip, which is a little more motion through some of the different parts of the character. And now if we want to get even a little more advanced, we can do some blending on our character. So it allows you to take 3 different characters and blend them together to create yet a more unique face. So if I take this one, and this one, and this one, and once you fill the 3 slots with 3 different characters, you enable different parts of the face here, and those can blend towards a particular character. So say you want the nose of Ada. If you click on the nose and then drag over towards the zone that represents where Ada was, watch my nose shape there, you'll see that kind of flares a little bit. And that's closer to what Ada's nose is like. If I come over here, that's closer to, what's that guy's name? Let's see, AOA. So if I drag over to there, that's more what his nose would be like. And then I can drag up to what the other character's nose is like. And you can do that for each region of the character. And you can even blend. So notice I can drop it and leave it in a certain area. And that's going to blend between. Watch the nose, it's just kind of reshaping based on where I leave this little blend dot. So if I want it in between these 2 characters, I can just leave it there. And now that nose is a blend between these 2 characters. And same with the other points of the character. If I want it towards hers or his, I can just blend that. So you can craft your shape here of this face based on the inputs from 3 other characters. Gives you a high amount of flexibility and blendability. The next thing you can do to customize, if you click here, you get the sculpt option. So for sculpting, if you zoom in, you'll see you have these little dots that you can actually craft the shape yourself. So I'm hand modifying these little points. So say I want some really wide nose there, and let's say I want my eyes, the corner of my eyes a little lower here. Maybe I want to droop that one down a little bit. And maybe I want to make her lips a little more puffy. So I can pull on that, pull on that, pull on that. You get some really puffy lips there. And even out on the ears, you can change the ear shape. So you have some limits, but otherwise you can make some pretty custom unique shapes from your character here. And you can even do it asymmetrically. If I turn off this symmetry button, I can grab one side and it's only going to affect this side of my character. Just showing you the extreme case here. And there's a couple different symmetry options here. If you turn it on, you have left to right, right to left, or the average. You can read through and see what those do. And then if you click here on the move option, that lets you make broad strokes. So you kind of get a curve control that lets you move different parts of the shape, kind of as a multi-points at once selection. So you can do a little more broad motions there. So you just click and drag the line, and that will control your shape of your sculpt points underneath. And if you look over here on the right, you'll see there are some pretty handy hotkeys. So if you want to click through 1, that's face camera, 2 for the body camera, 3 for torso. So there's, just take a look down here and see what the different options are. I'm just used to alt left clicking and middle mouse dragging and right mouse, similar to Maya, but you can also use some of these for quick snapping points. And then let's say you're all done with your character and you want to now start using your character in your project. Notice up here at the top it says all changes saved, so it has been saving what you've been doing. So now I can click and go up to my Metahumans. Actually, what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to click the little edit button there so I can change the name, and I'm going to call her Yikes. And I'm going to go back up to my Metahumans. So it's just taking me back up to the master menu so that I can select my character here. So there's my new Yikes character. You might say, where'd my other ones go? When I came into this, there were some other ones. Those are legacy Metahumans. So those were made in versions before 5.4, but now the one I just made was in 5.4. So that one's that one doesn't need, you see all these need upgrading, but I'm going to go fresh start with this new character, Miss Yikes, that I just made. And now this browser is actually talking with your library of characters. If I wanted to continue editing, I could come down here to edit selected, but I'm going to say I'm done with her for now. So let's slide her over here. And then now in my bridge, if I go to my Metahumans, here is my character that is ready for download onto my computer. So I'm going to hit the download button and let her start downloading. And per usual, this may take a bit depending on your internet access and computer speed and all those kind of things. So you'll notice at the bottom here it says generating. So it's doing a little bit of thinking and planning and strategizing how it's going to download this super heavy new custom Metahuman from what you built in the browser, and then it's going to pull it onto your machine locally, and then you'll be able to add her to your project. So now I can click add to add to my project. And popping back over to my level and looking at my Metahumans file, here's my Yikes folder. And here's my Yikes character. Let's drag her in. And there she is. Now, as far as animating your characters and posing and those sort of things, that's kind of a different topic for a different video. So from here, you can, make your level sequences, short films, whatever you need to do. But this is how you create your custom character from Bridge using the Metahuman Creator. So here's where the main button is. So it's kind of small and out of the way. And when you go to the generic Metahumans and you pick a character, you wouldn't really think to hit this button. But if you do, you can customize your character as much as you want and make your collection of custom Metahumans. So I totally suggest don't just watch this video and go, that's nice. Go ahead and open this up, try it out, play around with it, press the different buttons and bring your character in for fun and see what you can make.